How did you fix them and improve yourself? Edit. Wow, this really gained a lot of attention. It's good to know you're working on them the same as me. Edit 2. Thanks for all the awards. Good people. Story 1. I always get defensive if people ask me to do something like my partner or my mother. I need to take it in and not shut down as if it's condescending. I guess this is a complex I've adopted from feeling unworthy. And just generally breathe and find motivation in everything because life doesn't work out for you. You change and adapt to it. We all go through tough times, but it's yours to deal with. Good luck, everyone. Story 2. Too easy to be upset, too defensive, too impatient. Listen to the ones you love and who love you. It's not criticism. They make the effort to highlight things to help you get better. They love you and want you to improve, to help you be greater. Those who don't care about you won't say a thing. Takes time. Find tricks to remind yourself often. Think about it often. Talk about it to others. Communicate. Story 3. I don't voice my needs, and as a result, I bottle up resentment for months at a time. It usually comes out in a sudden burst of anger, where I yell at those closest to me and often tell them to get out of my life. I hate this about myself, but at least I'm in therapy for it. Story 4. People pleasing. Not knowing how to say no. Not knowing how to stand up for myself and my values. No boundaries. All that will get you exploited. Story 5. I am a very boring person in the sense that I do not have any real hobbies and accomplishments so far at 26 years old. I never did anything in college except go to class and go home to sleep, which is unfortunate, especially as I plan to go to business school later on. I think I am likable enough and I have a decent sense of humor, but I just feel that I should be spending more time productively. Not that I need to create stuff, but I should spend less time on passive activities such as watching television. I picked up a sport and an instrument recently, so at least I have things to do at home. I also started up my language learning again. I might work on programming since I have been interested in that for years. I am also bad at taking initiative and responsibility, but I am not sure how to improve on that. Story 6. I break up relationships instead of communicating issues. I'm not 100% happy. The relationship is canceled. Edit. How did I improve? I was called out on this recently, so from now on, I will try to look at the situation objectively. What is the root cause of the issue? Is it her? Is it me? Or is it something out of our control, for example, being furloughed together and bored? Story 7. Needy. Either too pushy or just let myself be walked over with no in-between. Quick to anger. This was a tough one. I found the easiest way to deal with it is to have a creative outlet and avoid putting yourself in such situations. In my experience, I got very mad and angry playing online player versus player games, so I stopped playing them as much, and when I find myself getting angry, I'd switch it off and do something else. I know it's not always easy, but baby steps are better than nothing. Depressive. Lazy as all hell. Probably a ton of others, but I'm also working on them slowly. Story 8. I commit myself far too quickly in new relationships. Like the moment I feel a romantic connection to someone, I am ready to be in a fully committed relationship with them 100%, even if we have only spent a couple of hours together. Can come across as overbearing and clingy. I have to really work hard at ignoring my feelings and take the time to objectively think about whether or not this person is actually right for me. Story 9. I stress out easily, I'm low on self-discipline, and tend to be nonchalant. I procrastinate and I'm anxious. This makes me not the most reliable of employees, although I place great value on delivering a good job and I love the job I am doing now. I'm going to be fixing them all my life, I guess. It starts with being open about my flaws. And also communication, asking questions, letting people know you are struggling. Story 10. The distance between me and the psychopaths is getting smaller. I'm defensive. I'm easily offended. I always say fine when I'm asked how I am, even though I'm actually emotionless and miss my son all the time. I see him twice a week, but nothing beats waking up to him and putting him to bed. I dislike who I am. I'm trying to fix it. Story 11. Mine is having this habit of unintentionally interrupting people when they talk. I didn't realize I do it until my friend with benefits told me to stop interrupting or talking over him. It was then that I realized that I need to listen more and just slow down. We communicate really well, but it's the small things he picks up on me and helps me to improve myself. I'm grateful for that. Now my communication seems better. To be honest. Story 12. I had a huge problem with post-traumatic stress disorder that was shutting down literally anything that I was working on or towards: jobs, school, basic everyday tasks. I found a cool therapist who shared my problems, and he provided cognitive processing therapy, which shut down the bulk of it in just a few weeks. Learning to forgive yourself and accept yourself will do wonders for your self-esteem. Story 13. I rely on food as a stress and boredom reliever, and as a result, I've put on a lot more weight. After seeing a counselor, I'm finally being referred to a psychologist specializing in food-related issues. Story 14. I used to base my entire self-worth on my intelligence while not really achieving much in life relative to my peers. This gave me a very brittle ego, and I would often be overly critical of everyone and everything, as it's much easier to criticize. I've resolved this for the most part by working very hard to get a good job, dedicating practice time to productive activities I like, such as music, cooking, and sports, and generally gauging my own mental state before speaking. I've become a much more patient and kind person because of it, and it makes me like myself a lot more. Story 15. Found out that I'm an actual psychopath. Telling the truth about anything and everything lately has been a start. It's an odd task, having to actually configure an organically honest response compared to having to pacify someone. Omitting truths and manipulation are my primary objectives to deconstruct and reassemble in an honest and genuine persona. That being said, it appears disingenuous of me, but either way, I have to attempt to flow with everything else around me, as I'm not one that has a taste for power. I just do what I do. It's not so much difficult as it is ridding a habit for another. Takes time and practice. The next aspect to change will be an apparent coldness about me. I've realized it about myself long ago but didn't think into it. I cried before when I was a kid and my grandfather died. Also, on rare occasions, I'll shed tears when I think about my daughter and how she's growing rapidly, learning, and showing how clever and constructive she is, other than showing many of my traits. She's fascinating to me, and it's a privilege to raise this kid. Story 16. I'm a nice guy, not the creep. I like to please, avoid confrontation, and not prioritize my needs, always the others. I'm actually selecting what things I need to change and what I'll keep. Sadly, being the nice guy helped a lot of people around me, and as I noticed, I'm someone who's really empathetic, so it's my superpower. The only person affected by it is myself, and, well, I like to help. Being more selective also helped a lot with stress management. Story 17. I try too hard to win arguments and disagreements instead of communicating and compromising. I don't really know if I've improved on this. I don't think I have, but I'm determined that in my next relationship, during any disagreements, I'll try my best to swallow my pride. If something needs to be done, I will get it done my way and won't really listen to other ways of doing it. I don't like opening up to partners as I see it as a sign of weakness. I know that it isn't, but I can't help feeling as though it is. Since being single, I've become closer with a lot of women from work, and they actively encourage me to open up, so I feel a little easier about it now. I feel closer to all of my friends now and generally enjoy the discussions we have about feelings and emotions. Story 18. I was cheated on by the first girl I thought I was going to marry in college. We had openly discussed moving in together, getting married, having kids, etc. It had a lasting effect on me, making me feel paranoid about being cheated on or lied to again. I've now been married to a different girl for 5 years, but ever since then I've struggled with continually going through a cycle of realizing I'm not good enough for my wife, convincing myself she's cheating, getting depressed and introverted, realizing there's literally no reason for me to think she's cheating, going back to normal, waiting a month or two, and repeating. I've gotten much better about it, but when we first started dating and it got serious, this cycle happened every other week. I'm so grateful that my wife was incredibly patient and understanding with me. I've slowly but surely allowed myself to be loved and not worry so much about it. Story 19. Extreme anxiety prevents me from doing anything outside my comfort zone, such as starting new jobs, visiting new places, or meeting new people. This makes me miserable because I feel like my life does not move forward. A vicious circle. I often argue because I feel I am right, especially in relationships. It is not worth it, as it causes emotional distress to both parties. I want to be able to discuss in a calm manner, and if it does not go anywhere, be able to stop and leave it or walk away without insisting on being right. Story 20. Create traps for people just to get upset with them. I'd build up and anticipate what someone was going to do, wait for them to do it, then get worked up and upset. I realized I was doing this when I was in therapy at some point. I'm doing my best to identify when I'm doing it and repeat the mantra, no expectations. I am a bit obsessive-compulsive when it comes to organization and cleaning. Going to a person's house when it's dirty triggers cleanup mode or stress. Living with roommates who don't load the dishwasher or put away clean dishes logically incites much frustration. I'm still working on this one. Story 21. For me, it was not being honest with my partner about needs not being met, not communicating properly, and crossing lines with other people and flirting without really thinking about it. I'm in therapy now to understand, improve, and handle things better, and I made promises to avoid those behaviors because I want to be a better person and treat others right. Story 22. Insecurity masked as expressiveness and people-pleasing. I'm trying to be aware of it in the moment and communicate my needs and feelings better. Sometimes jealousy gives me bad compulsions that I don't act on, but I know that I need to improve my self-esteem and self-worth to combat that. It doesn't help that I'm 12 days nicotine-free and experiencing a roller coaster of emotions and physical symptoms. My partner has been really busy with her move into a condominium and not able to give me as much support as I need, and she has been finding my expressiveness overwhelming and wanting to withdraw. We spoke about it, but I ended up not being able to communicate my own needs. Oops. I have a psychologist appointment coming up soon, and I hope the ongoing therapy and coping mechanisms I use, such as exercise, music, and friends, continue to help make me stronger. Story 23. I have a bad habit of not trying to know people better if they, for some reason, leave a bad first impression. I try to be more patient with people, which is especially important for me because I have a small set of friends. They are very good friends, but I rarely try to meet somebody new. Considering I am still going to university, I should network more and maybe find somebody worthwhile. I assume this is a typical introvert problem. Story 24. Communicating what's wrong way too late. I would consider myself good at dealing with some minor issues. I have my own ways. It might be just doing sports, reading, or building things when something is on my mind. However, occasionally it doesn't go away, or I don't have the time to get it off my mind. Then I'm struggling to tell anybody about it, and I still try to deal with it myself. That's what contributes to the end of my current relationship. Sure, we are both at fault. Both of us made mistakes, but it is unfortunate anyway. Story 25. 10 years ago or so, I was a walking red flag. All the bad things that a woman can display, I was displaying. I met my current husband, and I just wanted to be a better person. He has been hurt in the past by family and significant others, and I wanted him to never feel pain. Slowly, I lowered the red flags. I only display a few nowadays, but I am well aware of them. Story 26. I like to be right about things and enjoy debating and playing devil's advocate for the sake of it, regardless of whether I'm siding with something I believe in or not. I imagine this can upset people. Story 27. Insecurity and nice guy thoughts. Never acted upon them. But when I found the subreddit a couple of years back, I said, forget it. Worked on self-improvement and self-esteem, and I no longer have those thoughts, although I do still get anxious. Work in progress. Story 28. In terms of myself, I'm far too trusting of everyone. I have very little self-confidence. I'm not very fond of myself or how I think I look in the eyes of others. I never take risks. In terms of how others may perceive me, I tend to smother or latch onto those who become close to me. I tend to ghost those I feel I've been smothering. This tends to confuse people, and they become frustrated and lose interest in me. I'm working on it, and I think I'm actually making a lot of progress. Lots of bumps in the road and setbacks, but I'm keeping on. Story 29. Strong doubts about any type of commitment. I think this is my biggest flaw in every relationship or job I've had. I always think when things are good, they should be better. I'm still trying to figure out how to be satisfied with the moment instead of looking to the next thing. Story 30. Being your own support system. I am in my late 20s and haven't had a tremendous amount of parental support. However, the fear of failure has held me back too often in my life, and I regret not being where I feel I should be in my career and personal emotional development. Learning to work on the small things and piece together strong, positive emotional building blocks for myself, and moreover, being my own best friend, the leader of my own life, has been challenging, but it is something I am making a large effort to work on. Story 31. I am very approachable and charismatic, make friends easily, but I tend to distance myself from everyone every once in a while and not check my phone. God knows why. It's just the way that I am, needing my space. My friends obviously know this and know just to leave me be for a few days, but people who don't, obviously romantic interests, always think that I'm ghosting them when in reality I'm just being an antisocial person.